Hello, my name's Tom Carhill. It's the 21st of October 2013. This video is, you might find this quite interesting, you might find it quite shocking. Hopefully you'll find it actually very hard to believe, because I find it very hard to believe, even though I know for pretty much a fact that it's true. I was in Romania last year for the end of the year, a little bit of the end of the year and the start of this year, and I was staying with someone over there. Now, I've not been all around Romania. I've only been in like one or two parts, and mainly if you actually travel from the airport to this place, if you take the road that goes through the countryside, it's basically just crops the whole way, and the crops aren't very interested in the winter there. It just looks like blackness with white where there's snow. There's no leaves on any trees. It's really quite eerie. So you just don't really get to see anything. You just get to see like absolute nothingness, and it's very flat. And it's cold and horrible. So when you get to the actual town, it's different. So I didn't get to see Bucharest at all. I've heard it's very nice, but then different people tell me different things. I have wildly different descriptions of Romania with different people. But where I was staying, I was staying with a friend of mine's family for a little bit, and mainly I was staying there because I was getting a bit sick of England, because I've got lots of problems going on at the minute, because you've got lots of criminals basically running the country, and there's lots of frauds, Alphonse fraud, which is what most of my videos have been about. And of course then you've got the proliferation of all this information about all these paedophiles running the place, and people just don't really seem to be bothered. And if you sort of say to them, aren't you bothered about it? They go, no, they've all been found innocent. And you're like, no, they haven't. Fucking hell, are you so stupid? Of course they're going to find them innocent, because anyway, it just was sort of sickening me. And I'm definitely under surveillance. And, I've had my phones bugged for a long time, and they start echoing and stuff like that. But of course, a lot of people go, you're mental. That doesn't happen. That's what happens on the telly. And it's like, yeah. There were no Muslim terrorists. Who would have they blame people like me because I point things out that I shouldn't point out, because, you know what I mean? If you go against Freemasons, you are basically a terrorist in England. Right, anyway. So I'm not all Freemasons are bad people. A lot of them are just naive, like Jehovah's Witnesses, Seventh-day Adventists, whatever, Mormons. Some of these people are in it because they know they're in it, because it's like, well, it's fucking Mormons are the Freemasons, aren't they? It's the same thing. But the point is that, there's a lot of people in these organisations who don't really get what they're about, and then they get in them, and then they spend the rest of their life trying to convince everybody that they're all right, and they know full well that either they're just in an inert section of that thing, or they're not ever really going to go anywhere in it. But anyway, I went to Romania, and I started noticing that there's a lot of very poor people. There's a lot of rich people, so don't be thinking everybody's poor. Some very nice houses and stuff like that, really nice, new, nice houses, really stylish and that. Obviously, each house in some of these roads has been designed by an architect, completely really nice design, stuff like that. So don't be thinking it's all complete dump, because even though it might be a bit dumpy, there's all lots of rich people there. Now, it begs the question, if you're living in a nice little road and you've got a nice house, wouldn't you be onto the council to make sure the road was built properly? And they don't. They just seem to you walk around the streets and it's like walking in a fucking mud swamp. It's fucking absolutely fucking ridiculous, and you can't get out of the house unless you're in a car without getting mud everywhere. And the cars get stuck in the mud, and they have to get the cars cleaned, and so they're going to have to get a car wash for the car, because the car is literally caked in mud, it's literally covered in mud. But anyway, there's a new law that's coming in Romania, and they saw it coming a while ago. Basically, what they've done is they've said to people, you're not allowed to have animals in your house, near your house. And I don't mean, I know some gypsies, you probably, again, you won't believe this unless you've actually come across them. They keep horses in their houses, and they make fires in their houses. They do this on the floor, right? You won't believe it. But Romanians know, because they've got gypsies living next door, and they've got horses walking around in their house. So that they do that, right? But the point is, I'm not talking about that. I mean near your house, right? You're not allowed to keep chickens, goats, whatever. You're not allowed, right? You have to build a farm to put them on, right? So you've got these people. If you go on the dole there, you get, if there's a man and wife, the man and wife won't, I don't believe, get like 2 sets of dole. Like in England, if you're a couple, you get less. I think it's pretty much like they basically, if one of them hadn't been working, the one who hadn't been working wouldn't be able to get the dole. I think you have to have been working 9 months, and then you can get the dole for a year. And then after that, you go off this really shit benefit where you have to go around sweeping the streets up or chopping down bushes and stuff. And you've got these people wandering around looking extremely even more poor than the really, really poor ones, with these sort of like badges on them, and they're cleaning, like just doing this. They sort of have to work for the benefit basically, but there's not really any jobs because there's no jobs for the other people. So it's a fucking terrible situation. And anyway, they get about €100 a month. Right now, you can't live on €100 a month. So you see, they're banning the people from having animals outside of their house, right? And so they have to get rid of all the animals. So what are they going to live off? Because they used to make, cheese from the goats. And what they do, they buy corn husks and they feed the corn. Sorry, the corn gets fed to the animals, and then the husks will also get eaten by the animals. And you can also use that, the bits that even the goats won't eat. You can use it for like firewood and stuff. So you're living in a country where you need to buy firewood in winter or have central heating. Most of them can't get central heating because bizarrely, and this is a con because it doesn't cost this much, the council charge £3,000, right, to connect you to the gas. So they put the gas in the street, but then they charge you £3,000 to get the gas in. Now, if you're thinking the dole there's like £100 a month, well, obviously these people are never ever going to be able to afford to do that unless they get it given to them by someone else. So they have to buy firewood. Now, firewood costs about twice as much a year as gas does to heat the house, from what I've been told. And then as well, they have to have like gas tanks to heat the water up with. So this €100 a month bullshit you couldn't even afford to just heat your water off that. You know what I mean? It's not actually even enough for that. And the other thing there is you can go and get your gas tank filled up, use it for like a day, and it runs out. But because you haven't got any kind of proper, you could if you go back and you see the same person, but they'll just sometimes not fill the gas tanks up. So you'll buy it, take it off 2 or 3 days, you go back there, they go, oh no, nothing to do with us, because there's no identifying thing to say which place it came from. Probably there they sometimes go back and just beat the people up or bludgeon them until they agree that they'll give them another gas tank. That's the kind of behaviour that it becomes necessary when you live there. But the whole point is that this whole move to remove this ability for them to feed themselves, I think is very, very clearly a genocidal government policy to cull the population there. And I think when you link it to England, because England's very instrumentally linked to Romania. I know lots of European countries have lots of Romanians in, but Nigel Farage was on the TV, not this weekend that's just gone, but the weekend before. And I don't want to misquote the guy, but I'm pretty sure he said, he goes, what I think the people of England want is they don't want Romanian criminals coming over. He didn't say Romanian criminals from Romania. He said Romanian criminals. He didn't say criminals from Romania, Bulgaria, Albania. He didn't say that. It's quite what he was saying. I don't know. It's like what they're trying to do is you've got these desperados coming from Romania with absolutely no money. Of course, they're going to go and do crime because when they get in this country, they can't work because they don't have any papers. So they're either going to have to work illegally, which is illegal, or they're going to have to do things like stealing and stuff. Now, if they're getting paid really shit money, they're obviously going to have to do stealing because otherwise they're going to die. So if somebody's going to die of starvation or get kicked out of the country deported for working illegally, and you're good at stealing, what are you going to do? You're going to do stealing, aren't you? Of course you are. So basically what they're doing is they're setting these poor people up to have to steal, and they're going to have to leave Romania because you can, unbelievably, I even know you can get stuff stolen to order and stuff in Romania, and you think, fucking hell, you wouldn't really think you'd be able to get much money stealing stuff and selling it on there, but you can, apparently you can. But they're much better at stealing than your average British shoplifters, aren't they, as you probably know. So they're going to come to England, they're going to be stealing stuff left, right and centre, and they're obviously going to do this, and if they stay there, they're going to starve to death, or, if it's -15 and you don't have firewood, what, you're going to die, aren't you? You can't just live in the house and like not turn the heating on. It's not like England where it never really gets that cold. It gets cold and you do need heating and people die of hypothermia. But if you live in a little shack out in the middle of a little hut, like what most of them do, you've got to turn the heating on. You've got to turn it on or you're going to die. And loads of them, I think, will die. I don't know what will happen, as I said. It's something I think you should all be aware of, because you're not going to hear about it on the news, but it's a fact. You know, I know, I'm a witness to it. So let me know your thoughts, please. Thanks very much. Bye now.